Today I would like to talk about one of the most important coffee machines, which plays a very big role in the process of making a perfect cup of coffee. It helps in breaking down coffee beans into smaller particles, which will enable you extract the right amount of flavor from your coffee grinds into your cup of coffee. Though coffee grinders play a very big role in the process of making your perfect cup of coffee, they are often not talked about. This is why in this video I would like to share with you the best knowledge that you must know about coffee grinders, the 10 basic parts of a coffee grinder and their functions, some basic tips and knowledge, how you can adjust your coffee grinder so that you can achieve your perfect extraction. We have two types of coffee grinders. We have the blade coffee grinders and the bar coffee grinders. The blade coffee grinders are no longer common nowadays. They are similar to the food processor or the blender. They have two blades which rotate together and cut down coffee beans into smaller particles. The reason why they are no longer very common nowadays because they give inconsistency of the coffee grains. This is why most people are using nowadays the bar coffee grinders. The bar coffee grinders have two flat surfaces inside them which rotate together and grind the coffee beans into smaller particles which are evenly and they are very fast. In our coffee shop, all the coffee grinders we use are the bar coffee grinders. We have the EK43 and our Fiorentes F64, which is our coffee grinders, and we also have the Mentos 1 espresso coffee grinders. But in this video we're going to use our F64 as our espresso coffee grinder, starting with the basic parts on our espresso coffee grinders. We're going to plug it in our electricity and start by powering it on using the power switch. This is our first part and it's very important. It's the power switch. It's used for turning on our coffee grinders. The second important part is the coffee bean hopper. It's where we pour our coffee beans so that we can be able to grind them. It comes with a coffee bean hopper lid. This is used for covering up our coffee beans so that we don't lose any flavors or aromas from our coffee beans. Then our third part, which is the control valve of our espresso coffee grinder. It's used for closing our coffee bean hopper in case you want to clean your coffee grinder and you don't need coffee beans to go into your coffee grinder. You need to close the coffee valve to prevent the coffee beans from coming out. Our fourth part, this is the most important part of the coffee grinder. This is the adjustment dial. This is where you're going to find the different grind settings, and also it's used for adjusting the coffee grind sizes. It's indicated with the two most important things that you must know on a coffee grinder, which is the fine grind size and the coarse grind size. The fine grind size, these are the smaller particles of our coffee grinds, and the coarse grind size, these are the bigger particles of our coffee grinds. Whenever you adjust your coffee grinder on a fine grind size, you're making your coffee particles become very small, and whenever you adjust your coffee grinder to a coarser grind size, you're adjusting your coffee grind sizes to a bigger particles. The next is the display of our coffee grinder. For our espresso coffee grinder, it has a display. It indicates the temperature that the coffee grinder is on. It also indicates time, the seconds that you need whenever you're grinding your coffee beans. The time is being shown on the display area. Whenever you adjust on the time of the coffee grinder, you're adjusting the amount of coffee that you're grinding. The next key thing is the control buttons on our coffee grinder. This is also very important because it's where you're going to adjust the different grind settings. These are indicated with the single shot and the double shot, and also the manual one. They are designed to adjust the different coffee doses so that you can achieve the perfect dose that you need to brew a perfect cup of coffee. Next is the pot filter holder. This is where we place our pot filter. It has the upper pot filter holder and the lower pot filter holder. So you just need to place in your pot filter and your pot filter is held by the coffee machine. Then the next part is the exit channel. It's where our finished grinded coffee beans comes out from, and it comes to the pot filter. Our last part, which is the collection tray or the dripping tray. This is where the extra coffee grinds from the coffee grinder drop on the coffee tray so that you can pour them and keep your working station clean. So I'm going to show you how you operate espresso coffee grinder step by step. We're going to start by powering on our espresso coffee grinder. Then we're going to fill in our coffee bean hopper with our coffee beans. You have to ensure your coffee beans are freshly roasted so that you can achieve the perfect flavors out of your coffee beans. We're going to cover it with our coffee bean lid. Then we're going to open up our control valve so that the coffee beans can flow inside our coffee grinder grinder and they can be grinded. So we're going to adjust our coffee grinder using our adjustment dial so that we can have our perfect grind size. Then we're going to get our pot filter ready. Placing our pot filter into our pot filter holder, we're going to grind a small amount of coffee grind so that we can know which grind size are we using. If we are not achieving the perfect grind size, we're going to adjust our coffee grinder on the perfect grind size. Then press the button for your desirable dose that you're going to need. Then after grinding, the extra coffee beans that have fallen on the drip tray, you just need to remove the coffee tray and clean it. For you to know if you're using the right grind size on your coffee grinder, we're going to pull a perfect shot of espresso. This is going to be determined with the flow of our espresso and also our total brew time of our espresso. Whenever your coffee is flowing very fast, this means you've grinded your coffee bean much coarser than the recommendable grind size. And if your espresso is running very slow, this means you've grinded your coffee bean much finer than the normal grind setting of your coffee grinder. In order to adjust this, you need to go back to the adjustment dial so that you can adjust your coffee grinder on either a fine or a coarser grind size. One of the most important things that I would like to share with you, this is one of the most common questions that I've been asked as a barista, is which grind size do I need to use for an espresso or a pour over coffee? You should understand, these numbers can be easily changed by the way you adjust your blades inside your coffee grinder. The most important thing I would advise you, you should understand which size of particles you need for the brew method that you're using. For you to be able to understand which particles are best and how you can adjust them and how you can know them, here's my video. It's a full guide on the different grind sizes which are recommendable for a particular brew method and how you can easily adjust your coffee grinder so that you can achieve that perfect taste out of your cup of coffee.